Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and while I'm still working on my full review on the iPhone 14 Pro, I thought I'd give my in-depth thoughts, opinions, and maybe a couple of fixes for one of the key selling points of the Pro line of devices this year. Now, what's that key feature that I'm talking about? Well, of course, it is the
Dynamic Island.
Dynamic Island.
Dynamic Island.
Dynamic Island.
Dynamic Island.
Dynamic Island.
Dynamic Island. So in today's video, I'm going to give basically my full review on this one feature on the iPhone. Now, the reason being is it's a pretty big feature, and I do actually think that moving forward, a lot of Android manufacturers may be picking up something like this on their new devices, so it's kind of an important step. However, I do also have a lot of criticism about the Dynamic Island, just in regards to actually how useful it is, the information that's up there, how reachable it is, and just in general, if it's something that's needed, as opposed to something different that you may have on the home screen, which we will also look into in this video. So first up, when the Dynamic Island was first announced, I was initially very intrigued. Now, the way that Apple talked about it in their keynote, they mentioned all the cool things that it will be able to do moving forward, all the new additions, all the applications that can reach into the API and actually use the service, and I was actually pretty excited about the future of what that may look like. Now, don't get me wrong, since the iPhone 14 Pro has been released, a ton of applications have been updated to actually use and take advantage of the space that's up there with the Dynamic Island. And there's also some applications that I didn't necessarily expect to be updated so quickly. So there's an application that I personally use here in the UK called Ringo, which is for parking in local parking areas around the city, and that actually has an update with Dynamic Island that basically shows you all the information up there about your current parking session. So again, even some of these smaller or maybe lesser known apps are getting updated pretty quickly. And sometimes it's actually pretty useful. Now for me, I actually find it most useful when it's doing things on the actual system side of things as opposed to an actual specific application. So for example, if I put the phone into silent mode, do not disturb, or I put it on charge for example, to have that little notification come up at the top around the Dynamic Island, it's actually quite handy. It gives me a glance of a little bit of information that I'm doing on the device at any one time. And even for some of my favorite apps, so I am a very heavy user of Spotify for example, and again the Dynamic Island has all the information out there that you may need. Again, in regards to pause, play, skip tracks, go back a track, you can actually scrub through the music itself. It has a small album artwork, and you've got access to AirPlay features as well, so pretty much everything that you would need for that quick access. So in general, I think it actually works okay. Some of the applications take better advantage of it than others, so it's an okay feature to the overall iPhone 14 itself. However, I do also have some criticisms, but also maybe some fixes. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I actually don't really use or take advantage of anything on the Dynamic Island. Now, for me, I just find it a little bit easier if I've got something going on in the background to go into the application specifically. It's very quick, very simple, and again, if I need to do anything else other than a quick action, I'm already in the right place to do it. And again, I'll use Spotify as an example. It's good for those quick actions, again, skipping the track, pausing the track. However, if I want to do anything more in depth, like change the playlist or search for a specific song, this can't be done in such a small area at the top of your display. So for me, whenever I want to do anything to do with Spotify, although the Dynamic Island is at the top, I'm just going to click on the Spotify logo, go right into the application and do anything that I need to do. And that's pretty much the same with any application that I'm currently using on my device. And this may just be my specific example. For me, I also don't really use any of the shortcuts on the iPhone. For example, if you long press on the Instagram icon, you can actually go ahead and create a post directly from this menu. It takes you right to where you need to go to. However, for me, if I'm going to do anything on Instagram, I'm probably already going to be in the app, looking through my feed, looking through the Explore page, and then going directly to the posting from there. So your mileage may vary with the Dynamic Island. If you are a fan of shortcuts and getting very quick access to things, I think it does a pretty good job overall. However, if you are someone that does maybe multiple things within an application at any one time, it may not be the feature you're looking for. Which then takes me on to my next criticism of the Dynamic Island, and that's actually how you use it and access that quick information. So you've essentially got two actions with the Dynamic Island. A single press will take you directly into the application, and a long press will take you into that widget to get quick access. And that's where it seems a bit confusing for me. You have to do a long press to do a quick action, and then a quick press to do maybe a longer action. I think that it should be the other way around. So a single tap takes you into the widget for those quick actions. So again, quick press for a quick action, and then a longer tap should take you into the application for more in-depth info. So that's kind of my main criticism really. It's just sort of how you access it. Personally, again, I don't really use it all that often. I do think that it could be improved ever so slightly compared to what we've currently got. Now, that doesn't mean to say to take away the Dynamic Island. Like I mentioned, in regards to all of the system info, again, putting your phone on silent, putting it on charge, things like that, I think it does a really good job at having a little bit of information really quickly to show you what's being done. And of course, you've got all of your sensors up there for Face ID, so you can't get rid of it completely. However, I think that they should maybe move the dynamic island, or just in general the dynamic action, down onto the home screen. Now, I'm not the best at animation, but I've managed to do a little bit of a mock-up in regards to how that may look for 3 specific applications to give you guys an idea of the kind of thing that I'm thinking of. So let's use the clock application as the first example with a timer. So again, on your home screen, if you're not using any of the timers or any of the action within the application, it will just look like the standard app icon as you can see here. However, if you go into the application and for example set a timer, the application icon itself will then change to a timer icon. And then to get access to the dynamic parts of the application, all you have to do is single tap on the icon itself, and then it will bring up this same sort of dynamic widget that you would have at the top of the screen, but it will just put it above the icons that you're currently looking at. If you then wanted to go into the application to a little bit more something in depth, again, just long press on the app and it will take you straight into the application itself. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you long press on an application, it currently brings up a widget of some quick actions that you can do, or the option to edit or delete the application. Now, I think this can still be done by just long pressing anywhere else on the home screen. So currently on the iPhone 14 Pro and the newest version of iOS, and just in general since the rearrangement of application icons has been available, if you long press anywhere on the home screen that isn't an application, it will take you into the editing screen to allow you to move around, create folders, and organize your applications how you want them to be. And I think this could be similar to those quick actions as well. If you long press anywhere on your home screen and then tap on Instagram, for example, it will then bring up that same widget menu of the quick actions that you normally would have by long pressing on the application. Now onto the Ringo application that I mentioned earlier for parking your car. Now for this one, again, if you're not using it for a parking session currently, it will show the standard Ringo application icon. However, if you go into the application, park your car and start a session, it will then change the application icon to show that you're using it to actually park your car currently. And then again, a quick press on the application icon, which is now sort of the dynamic side of things, will bring up all the information about your current parking session, how long you've got left, if you need to add any more time, and the information about your parking location and the car you've used currently. And then next up we've got Spotify, and I think that one of the features that I'm going to mention here should just be part of Spotify's application anyway. So for this one, if you're not using Spotify, you've not got any music playing at all, it will again show the standard Spotify icon. However, the moment that you start to play some music, that icon will change to the album artwork or the current song that you're listening to give a visual indication of the song you're listening to and the fact that Spotify is in use. And then again, the new way of doing the dynamic action, if you actually then do a short press on the Spotify icon, it will bring up the same widget that you would have at the top of the screen on the dynamic island, allowing you to pause the music, fast forward, go to the next track, scrub the track, do whatever you need to do, and then again, tapping anywhere on the screen will get rid of it. So I hope that kind of explains to you guys what I'm thinking with the dynamic island changing to dynamic actions maybe in future versions of iOS. I think it'll be a really cool way to get all the information that you do currently get at the top of the screen, but again, it's more easily accessible, because again, one of the issues that I do have with the dynamic island is even on the iPhone 14 Pro, the standard one, and I've got fairly large hands, I still can't do it with one hand. I still have to use 2 hands to get access to that information at the top, which again isn't necessarily the most useful thing in the world. And that's going to do it guys for this video. Now overall I do like what Apple is doing with the dynamic island, and I'm really interested to see what they do with it moving forward, if it does change or adapt in any particular way, or if it just kind of stays the same with the information at the top, quick access to certain things here and there. Yes, I know that you do have live updates with sports scores and things like that, which is a really awesome thing to have, but again, maybe that could switch down to the application icon with a short press again. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. If you've got any questions or you've got any ideas about how you want to change or ways that Apple could change the dynamic island, let me know in the comments section down below exactly what your ideas may be. If you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to do so. And once you've hit that subscribe button, don't forget to turn on notifications so you're notified anytime I post a video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper vs Glass. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.